So welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
This is so exciting. Yeah, so I'm Andie Summers from the Andie Summers Show, and we have with us Jess and Karli from the Only Human Project, which is a very exciting endeavor that you guys have started exploring in the past 2 years?
It's only been about a year.
Only a year.
We met a year ago, and we officially kind of launched through the podcast this past June 2nd.
Wow.
So it's been like a little over 6 months.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, very exciting, and you've made such headway. So I met you a few months ago. Things were just getting off the ground. So you guys have this great podcast, which is all really about navigating through mental health issues and just kind of coming to terms with the fact that we are only human, and we go through ups and downs, and everybody feels them, and it's very normal. And I love that you're putting that out there. So talk to us about the podcast. Tell us about some things that you guys are doing that we can be looking forward to.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to start about the Only Human Project, Karli and I are just super passionate about helping others feel less alone. So the big way that we thought we could do that was through the podcast. And we both, when we met, we were doing separate podcasts, and they were both called Figuring It Out and Figure It Outable. So we were really trying to bring that narrative to the podcast.
So like wait, and just to back up a little bit, like they didn't even know each other.
No, we
right?
didn't even know
but
each other.
You were not, but you were like a Venn diagram of social circles that merged.
Yes.
Right, and you had someone in common that was like, hey, you guys should really meet each other because you're like living on parallel universes right now.
Yeah,
that's
carbon
wild.
copy mission
Yep.
from just miles away. And so I don't think the objective of introducing us was ever to create something net new and to join forces. I think the mutual friend was just like, you guys would really hit it off.
Yeah.
You're very like-minded, and you're both very passionate about, just living in this middle area, figuring it out, and owning that, and letting people know that it's okay to feel like you don't have it all together. And so we grabbed coffee, and Jess was like, do you want to do this thing together? And so that was like the immediate moment I knew that we could definitely be more impactful as a duo than we could ever be separately. And yeah, that was really when the Only Human Project started. And then just to speak a little bit about the podcast, Only Human is basically a show that obviously we created and we launched on June 2nd. And the whole first season was just me and Jess just chatting about various mental health topics. So we would do a topic per episode. So we would do episodes on anxiety, body image, friendships, social media, comparison culture, money, like, the whole gamut.
Things that everybody deals with.
Exactly.
So tell me about your backgrounds too, because I know that you don't have mental health like medical backgrounds. You're only human, and you're having these discussions. So tell me about where you each came from and what you're bringing then to the podcast.
Yeah, so I am a pediatric nurse, so I have a little bit of like mental health.
Sure,
on that.
yeah.
But basically where I started my podcast was I was just like in that middle ground of being like 24, 25 years old, and I was like, I don't feel like I have it figured out. Like, I feel like everyone else does. I don't, questioning what I should be doing. Should I be traveling more? Should I be living in the city? Like, I was a 25-year-old married person with a house, and I'm like, wait a minute, I feel like I should be the one that should feel like they have it all figured out. And so that's what kind of led me to start my podcast, was like, I want to break down that narrative that like people may think that I have it figured out, but I don't. And I think we all kind of feel that way and don't really talk about it.
And there's something so relieving in that truth, right? Like owning it and sharing it.
Yeah.
I feel like it just lifts a burden off your shoulders, because you're right, like you were trying to live up to everyone's expectations. People think like, oh, look at her, she's got a great job, she's married, she's a homeowner in your mid-20s, like that's insane. This girl's got it going on. And meanwhile you're like, like how are we paying all of our bills, and how are we like I get it. Yeah,
and
that's
it's really
awesome.
relieving too when you start to open up that dialogue. Then other people share with you as well how they're feeling, and you're like, oh wow, I never would have thought that you would feel like that. And so that's really like what the whole mission is about too.
Yeah, and it's funny because Jess always says she was checking those traditional boxes, so wife, homeowner, amazing career. That was the same thing that made me start the podcast, but I didn't really have the traditional things in that sense, in terms of like the wife and the husband and the home. But I was working on Wall Street for a while. I had a degree from UPenn. I graduated from the Wharton School of Business, and I just felt like people were looking at my life from the outside, saying, wow, she has it all together. And I was so sick of living
with
that
those
facade.
degrees, sure. You'd
And on
be like,
paper,
oh.
things look great. And it's like you have the world at your fingertips. And I did. But I wasn't happy. I never felt more empty inside. And I almost felt like I was fooling everybody around me. And so I really wanted to kind of drop that veil. And I will never forget the day that I launched Figure It Outable, like the influx of messages I got just being like, I feel the same way, and I never would have guessed that you felt that way.
Yeah. Okay, well, can we unpack that a little bit, like where each of you is coming from and what you're bringing and what your history is? So you just went through it all, but Karli, I'm interested to hear, like, as someone who has the degrees, I mean, went to Wharton, like that's huge, right? To feel, like you said, you felt empty. So where does that come from? And then what is your support system to get through that?
Yeah. I always say I feel like I got to that point in life because not that I was doing too much, but I was doing too much of the wrong things, and I wasn't doing enough of what mattered to me. And I think for a really long time I let my outside world define what success to me looked like. And so I ignored the question of what does Karli want deep down? What do I want out of this life? How do I want to show up every day? How do I want to spend my time? So once I really started to like check in to my own feelings and desires, I feel like I was really able to open up a whole new world and level of happiness that I didn't really know existed. But even with having all those things, I feel like mental health has always been something that I inherently struggle with, which is why it's really at the forefront. That's my why. It's because, you know, mental health doesn't discriminate, and you can have an amazing family, an amazing support system, amazing opportunities, but at the end of the day, you can still feel blue and anxious, and that's really my message.
Right. I mean, you can have the most perfect Instagram profile, right? And still, that's why you can't judge, you can't compare. I mean, that is just the root of all evil, is comparison, right? When you're trying to compare yourself with others, because you have no idea about the weight that they're carrying. And so, Jess, I mean, you went to medical school, right? So I mean, in nursing school. So you've got this rich background in helping kids and stuff. Did that at all help you to kind of figure yourself out a little bit?
Quite honestly, I don't think so. I think I kind of have to separate my two worlds a little bit. Like when I'm at work, it's kind of like work, and I try not to bring it home because I'm an ER and pediatric nurse, so like have to have a little bit of separation. But I feel like I just one day kind of felt myself, like I had always been very subject to comparison culture, I think, as we all are, especially with social media, but just one day I kind of had this like light bulb moment, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing this and I'm not even realizing, like comparing myself and being like, wow, this person's single and gets to travel all over the place because they don't have a house, they don't have a partner and all the things, and I'm like, should I be doing that? Like getting pulled in so many different directions and just feeling like I don't know what my purpose is and what I want to do.
Right. I feel like, I mean, I'm much farther along, right, in my career and everything than you two are, but I feel like what age has helped me with, and having kids and seeing the things that they go through, and it's so much easier to learn while watching someone else go through it than when I was, right? Like I have a teenage daughter, and I see her navigating friendships and school and balancing sports and all of that, and I think, I'm able to understand this a lot better than I was when I was her age. And just genuinely being happy for other people rather than wondering why I don't have that or how can I get that changes your focus on everything, right? Like if it's just all about the love that you give, I think that makes a big difference in how you live your life and being a truer person to yourself. Right?
Yeah, it all starts from within.
Yeah.
I would love to, for a second, flip the conversation on you, because Only Human, a huge part of our mission, again, is like dropping that veil. And I think your job is so interesting because every single day you have to show up on air and you have to forget about every problem that awaits you. So you, I'm sure, have tough days and sad days and anxious days. Like, how do you tune out the noise? And do you find it hard to show up and just like be a person that people can rely on and, you know?
Yeah, I'm getting teared up just thinking about this. So our producer Shannon is sitting just off camera, and she knows like these past couple weeks have been chaotic in my life personally, right? And it's and luckily, I, first and foremost, I work with a team that I trust implicitly to just be stability for me. And I think that we all do that for each other, which is huge. And that hasn't always been the case in my work environment. And no offense to other people that I work with, it's just that this particular group is like, I don't know, like we just kind of get it with each other. We meet each other where we are, and we have no other expectations, which is such a blessing. So that's one thing, is that when the mics aren't live, we're able to just kind of regurgitate all the nastiness that's going on in our worlds, or like help each other out individually that way, which is super helpful. Not everybody has that. But what I will say, it's an interesting case when you're on the radio too, because when those microphones turn on, I know that there's an expectation of what people are hearing on the other side of their radios, and we have to live up to that expectation, because it's a pretty good one. Like, I think that we have built a show that's very positive, and it makes people feel good. And so I find that when I'm having those days that are really crummy, the best way for me to make someone feel good is by sharing that and saying, hey, I'm really going through it today. Like, here's all the crappy things going on in my life, and I'm going to laugh about it, because if I'm not laughing, I'm crying, and hopefully you're going to feel better about yourself knowing that you're not the only one with issues,
again,
right?
Like going back to the root of, like, you're not alone, you're not the only one. And I think it's really probably relieving for you to allow the audience and the listeners to meet you where you're at.
For sure.
Something I love that we do for our live podcast shows, I really am not a natural public speaker. I open up the show by saying, we're the founders of the Only Human Project. We're two best friends. What we're not, public speakers. I'm terrified. I'm shaking. If my mind goes blank or I lose my words, it's because I'm nervous and I'm only human.
Yeah.
And that allows me, again, to just showcase really how I'm feeling inside, and maybe draw out a little bit of, like, sympathy or empathy from the audience that I'm going to mess up, and that's literally part of the show, because that's part of our brand and who we are.
And that allows you to show up as you are as well, and not try to be something that you're not.
Exactly. I think just showing up authentically is, like, the most amazing feeling and, like, relieving feeling. So I can only imagine on air being able to share that.
Yeah.
Knowing that you have the support around you in the studio, but then also through the listeners is really so powerful.
For sure. And I think if there's one thing that social media taught me as a person is nobody wants to hear only the good things. Like, you don't want to just see all the good things going on in someone's life, because it does make you a little bit resentful. And that's just being human, right? So when you show your vulnerability, I mean,
it's a super
it really is. Like, you just draw people in. So it was funny. I was watching a TED Talk about like presenting TED Talks, and the first thing the person said was, the best thing that you can do when you walk out on stage as a public speaker is show that vulnerability, so that the audience is like, we're not going to let you fail.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like, so it doesn't matter what you say at that point. They're like, oh my God. Oh, they're so sweet. Like, oh, they're going to get through this, and they're all just kind of hoping that you do well. So wouldn't that be lovely if we were just doing that as we're walking through the grocery store as well?
Yeah.
Like having that same outward vulnerability that just draws people in.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and it's scary to do that for the first time. I think it's like a muscle though, too,
totally
right? Like, once you get used to it, I mean, I don't know. I'm interested to see, like, once I'm dead and gone, how my kids will talk about their childhood and how I was as a mom, because I'm always telling them how terrible I am. Because I'm sure as a kid, you can't help but, like, treat your, like, kind of compare your parents with other people's parents. I'm always like, I'm the worst. Like, I let you guys down all the time. I forget about things. I don't put them in the calendar. I did not send my son to school on his first day of school this year, because
I think
it wasn't in my calendar.
He's like, my mom rocks. She let me skip the first day of school.
I don't know that he really felt like that. I don't know. I mean, like, that sounds lovely. That's really nice of you to say that he would feel that way, but he didn't. He was really kind of, he called me and was like, I think I just missed the first day. And I was like, I'm the worst, right? So will they look back on that and be like, she was dumb enough to forget some of those things, but, like, missing the first day is not as much of a big deal as it was being there during these other times. I don't know.
I think they're going to look back and say, I know my mom was trying the best.
I hope so. I don't know.
Truthfully.
We'll see. Okay, so you guys are you have your podcast, Only Human. You have been on the road. Talk to me about what you do when you go to these college campuses. This is exciting.
Yeah, so with our college show. It's basically about both of our college experiences. So Karli had a really unique college experience, as did I, and they're very different. I went to 4 different schools in 5 years, bounced around, and so we kind of just
and look, you turned out okay.
Exactly. And so we just like break that, you know, like bring down the veil, break the facade of you have to have it all figured out, you can't change your mind, and just to really like listen to yourself and your intuition. And so we kind of bring the listeners through our journeys and talk about how confused we were and how we didn't know what we were doing, and then kind of bring it all together and just kind of share some lessons learned and things we would tell our college self.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's really emotional. I feel like there are some details that like even my family probably has never heard before, and I think we really do try to just speak about being in the mud. Like when you're in college, you're expected to know what the rest of your life looks like. There's so many internal expectations, external expectations from peers, parents, and I know I really succumbed to everybody else's opinions and judgment until I woke up one day when I was 25 and had a quarter life crisis and quit my Wall Street job and solo traveled to Australia. And so I think we really talk about navigating change, navigating the gray area and being okay with that and just taking the pressure off, because really life is about experience and being intuitive, not about living out other people's path for you.
Right.
So
and failure is okay.
Yeah.
Like that's how we learn.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so, you know, you, Karli, you were on this path that you thought was the right path because it seems the way that you've described it, everyone said that this was the path you were supposed to be on.
Yeah.
So you get this great job and, you know, you're making the money and living the life and realizing this isn't what I want to do at all.
Yeah.
And you learn from that, and that makes you a bigger, stronger, more well-developed human.
Thank you.
Right?
It was
Which is
tough pill for my high achieving, like people pleaser
Yeah.
side to swallow.
But that's the problem, right?
That's
Like,
the problem.
I know a few years ago, there seemed to be in my neighborhood, in the town that I live in, a rash of teenage suicides, and it was devastating, obviously, to the whole community. And I was talking to a guidance counselor at one of the schools, and she said, you know, the biggest problem is these kids have been a success their whole lives. They're the best soccer players, they're the best students, they're going to the best schools, and then they're totally confused about where they want their future to be, and maybe they don't get into the school that they had their heart set on since they were born, right? Maybe they didn't get into Harvard or Yale or Princeton or whatever, wherever it is, and they don't know how to deal with that failure, and it literally kills them. They have no idea how to dig themselves out from that. So I appreciate when I hear businesses and people of power say fail quickly and fail often, because the more you do it, the better you're going to be, right? That's what it's about.
Yeah, I actually, Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx.
Yes.
She said that her dad every night at the dinner table would say, "What was your failure today? What did you fail at?"
Wow.
And he really like encouraged failing, and I think that was just like so powerful. That just reminded me of it.
Yeah.
If you're not failing, you're not trying.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what life is all about.
Yep, it's about how you pick yourself up and where you go from there, what you've learned from those lessons. So, well, you guys are doing amazing things. Thank you so much for being here. Best of luck with everything. And tell everybody how they can follow you and find you and all the things.
Yeah. I guess I'll take this one. So our social media is at The Only Human Project, and our website is theonlyhumanproject.co.
Very good.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, Jess and Karli. Thank you.